Well, thank y'all for coming today for my talk on stress. I think we've got a lot of stress going on right now. I think the main thing is the uncertainty. You guys probably agree with that, is just not knowing what tomorrow is going to look like. And so I have a couple books that I want to mention. I love this book by Dr. Porter called Thrive in Overdrive. And if you sign up for the link at the end, stressfreepa.com, if you sign up for that, which will give you a free 2 weeks on the app, then you'll be able to download this book for free. When I first got into doing brainwave entrainment, he's the guy whose voice that you hear when you do the brainwave entrainment in my office. And I used to buy these by the caseloads, and I used to give them out to my patients because there's just so much valuable information in here. So this is a fantastic book, How to Navigate Your Overloaded Lifestyle. This book I probably read 30 years ago, Creative Visualization by Shakti Gawan. And I think it still holds up. It kind of uses the ideas that Dr. Porter uses for his product. The BrainTap is positive mind messaging, using positive mind messaging to control how we're dealing with stress in our life. And I love this book too. It's called The Breathing Book by Donna Farhi. Breath work is so important when dealing with stress, because a lot of times when we get stressed, we just hold it in our chest. And learning how to do different breathing techniques can really make a difference I'm sorry, that's my dog at the door, really make a difference as to how our body responds to stress. So for instance, I find that when people do proper breath work, that their hands can go from very cold, which usually indicates chronic stress, to warm. So it's kind of like a biofeedback technique. So I'm going to share my screen with you now. I'm going to share this PowerPoint presentation I put together. But I want you to understand that there's like a lot of information that I'm just kind of blow by, because I want to get to the nuts and bolts. I want to get into teaching you how to get more aware of where the stress is in your body and what you can do with it, rather than getting caught up in the details of how stress affects your body. So we're going to touch on that, but not dive into it too deep. So, so this is my presentation, Relax, Reboot, Rejuvenate. In the chat, you should be able to see. Are you guys seeing my screen? Can you just unmute yourself for a second? Just let me know if you see my screen.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, great. So, yeah, so what I'd like you to do is in the chat, I put in there the links. And if for some reason you don't see it there, then I'll send it out with the recording that I'm going to do. So at the end, I'm going to send a recording copy to everyone who's signed up that they were interested. So I just want to make sure you know that you will be able to get the links of all that stuff. So just if you could, again, unmute yourself and tell me what you hope to get out of today's workshop. What are you looking to learn?
Okay, well, I do want to be able to be a little bit more relaxed. I realize that I'm actually a pretty anxious person. And I had a hard time sleeping last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you anxious about what's going on right now in the world and just the uncertainty, or?
I think I'm a little bit anxious about what's going on now, just because I am anxious for my child who has asthma.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can, because your case is very specific, we can talk about that on a one-on-one.
Okay.
But, and how about you, Marianne? Do you find that there's anything specifically that is really concerning you right now?
No, just general stress.
Okay. Okay. All right. So Up to 90% of all illnesses are related to stress. Stress can cause sleep problems, poor focus, memory processing, low energy, cardiovascular and respiratory problems, and poor immune function. And I don't know if you guys follow the research at all, but poor sleep is now being connected to a lot of problems like cardiovascular disease. And I think that, we know that we're supposed to get some good sleep, but a lot of people have not slept well in so long. They're really have no idea how to get there. So one of the things we'll be covering today is if we can get your sleep under control or stress under control, you're going to find that your sleep is going to get much, much better. So these are all the things that can cause stress. And we should modify this to add coronavirus because that is, a concern right now. And I think, from my perspective, as I mentioned before, it's really the uncertainty of, what is tomorrow going to look like? Are we going to be able to buy toilet paper? Are we going to be able to buy meats? I mean, that's the thing that shocked me is I go to the store every day and I can't find the right time to get there to buy meat. So, we're stocked up on toilet paper. We're okay. You guys stocked up on toilet paper? Are you okay there?
No, I need some toilet paper.
Oh, no.
But
Go ahead.
I know Whole Food probably still have some, so I will go there.
Okay, good. Good. How about you, Marianne? Are you finding that you're well stocked?
Yeah, we're good. We have just enough. We try not to get too overstocked on anything because, gotta leave it for other people too.
Right. So one thing that we did was we also stocked up, and I say stocked, I don't mean like we have a whole closet full, but we've got a couple things of pasta, a couple things of tuna fish, things that are going to last if we can't find the food that we normally eat, just so we can have food to eat. So I think being prepared is good, but going crazy and taking so much that there's not enough for our neighbors is probably not a good idea. So the good news about stress is there are things you can do starting today to change how your body and brain deal with stress. And I'm going to teach you things that we're going to workshop it today. So we know that stress sets off this fight or flight reaction, and it's part of the wisdom of the body that protects us from harm. So let's say we're going out and we're hiking in the woods and we come across a bear. If our body did not go into fight or flight, our body would not know how to react. So it's the fight or flight reaction that works in our favor because it tells us, okay, the body will automatically increase our heart rate and respirations. We're running away from whatever the stressor is. It pumps more blood into the brain so we can think of how to get out of our situation. The problem is if we are in stress every day, that our body forgets how to return back to normal. So that's a lot of what I see with people that they have chronic stress and it's actually changing their health. So we have heart rate, blood pressure increases, blood sugar. A lot of people don't realize that diabetes is very much connected to chronic fight or flight. So that's another reason, because diabetes, you get diabetes, that's more of a lifelong problem that can create problems. Respiration rate, Shaman, you mentioned that your son, you're concerned about him. So we want to make sure that he stays nice and calm and collected so that his lungs will function better. I see a lot of people with chronic GI problems that also have a lot of stress. We get the stress corrected and they handle it better, and voila, their GI problems function better. I had a client that I worked with probably 15 years ago who he just had this horrible GI problem, and it was connected to his father leaving the family when he was 3 years old. It was a very traumatic event. That's when his GI problem started. He remembered, even though he was only 3, he remembered the time vividly. So I obviously can't help him with his emotional stuff connected with it, but I made him aware of it. And then I had him seek therapy in combination with what I was doing. And within a few months, his GI problems went away totally. So again, it's about getting to the cause and not just treating the symptoms. Reproductive activity decreases. It's not unusual for people with chronic stress to not be able to get pregnant. So that's another area that I see changes. And when someone has an initial response to stress, usually their hands get sweaty or their feet get sweaty. But if they have stress day after day, what happens is the opposite. Their hands get really dry and they get really cold. And then the last thing is adrenal glands go into overdrive. So if you're someone who has stress all the time, if you don't take care of your adrenal glands, they will eventually get shot. And we want to make sure that your adrenal glands are supported so you don't get to that point. So again, fight or flight, it's not unusual to get into fight or flight, but are you getting relaxation in between? We do not want your body getting into a distressed state. So adrenaline is also, too much adrenaline causes the body to retain fluid, which adds to body weight, which then will increase stress on the heart. And stress stimulates the hormones that regulate our body's desire for fat, sugar, and carbs. So that's the reason why when people are under less stress, that they go for those comfort foods, that they're eating, the potatoes and the rice and the, Reese's peanut butter cups, because it's part of the adrenaline that's actually causing that reaction to happen. And the reason why I share that is because a lot of people blame themselves and they're hard on themselves because they're overeating when they're under stress, rather than recognizing that the stress is the problem and changing how they deal with stress is what's going to make the difference. So cortisol level increases, it makes it hard to focus. And it usually happens when experiencing an upsetting event or, as I said, chronic stress. So the other thing that happens with high levels of cortisol is we see bone density changes. So take someone, in their 60s or 70s that has osteoporosis that also has chronic stress. So maybe we can reverse those people just by changing how they're dealing with stress. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be doing calcium, but it's very tricky because there's a lot of physiology going on there. We definitely see the immune system getting inhibited. We see increased blood pressure. There's insulin resistance. Again, we're seeing that connection with diabetes here. And increased body fat levels. For women, we tend to see it around the midsection and the thighs and the butt. That's where women tend to gain weight that's connected to stress. And that's the reason why I've actually had people work with me doing the brainwave entrainment that lost weight just by getting their body out of stress. And they weren't changing anything in their diet, not intentionally, but what happened was they started making better food choices because they were feeling better and they were sleeping better. So signs of adrenal exhaustion, water retention, again, low blood sugar, feeling worse after exercise, the need for caffeine to keep you going, which is really difficult because, again, this is going to create this poor, vicious cycle and then poor sleep. Then again, we see a problem with blood sugar. So many areas that the body is affected by chronic stress. Now, the other thing that happens is our brain waves get out of balance, and our beta brain waves are the ones that are hopefully active right now. Hopefully I haven't put you to sleep yet and your brain is engaging, and that's the beta brain waves. And then alpha is the meditative brain waves. They're the ones that when we try to calm ourselves down, the monks that meditate all day, they're in alpha. And then theta is more of a light sleep. It's rejuvenating. It's also where creativity comes from. And delta is deep sleep. And what happens is when we have a lot of stress in our lives, we tend to produce too much beta, which is causing that ruminating brain, that mind that that monkey brain that we can't shut off. And then because we're producing too much beta, then the alpha and theta become less. You can't have your beta increase and have alpha and theta still be at normal. There's just like you had so much blood in the body, it's the same thing with brain waves. So if one thing gets out of kilter, it will affect the others. And again, if you have too much beta, I don't know, do either of you have problems sleeping at night and find that you can't shut your brain off, or are you pretty good in that area?
Yeah.
From time to time, yeah.
Say that again.
From time to time.
Yep. So when you can't sleep, it's, you know, probably days that you've had something stressful happen that day, and then you just can't shut it off. So just to give you an idea, this was an EEG that was done on myself. On the left shows you what the normal levels are. You can see theta and alpha are at around 30. Beta is a little over 30, and you know the gray is eyes closed. So when we close our eyes, we expect to be able to relax. So the gray will be higher for alpha and theta, and then beta, we expect the color bars to be higher when our eyes are open. So that's the difference between the bars. If you look at mine on the right, this was after 40 years of sleep problems, focus problems. I mean, you name it. I just had so much difficulty focusing, and I always had that ruminating mind. You can see my alpha and theta levels are extremely low. Even though I was meditating on a regular basis, I obviously wasn't doing a great job of it because I was about at half the level I should have been. And then my beta should have been, the color bar should be higher because that's when my eyes are open, that's when I'm trying to process information. But the exact opposite was happening on me. So this was in February of 2012 when I first started doing this brainwave entrainment work. And I'll show you the difference a little further along. So have you noticed any of these problems when you've been under stress? If you guys could kind of respond to these questions here.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Marianne, have you
Yes.
experienced? Okay. So, you know, one of the things that I find like people get like they're not going to sleep well if they've had stress. They get that they're going to be irritable. They might even get that their heart is racing or their blood pressure for sure is racing. But what they don't connect very often is the head, neck, and back pain. They don't see the connection. They don't see the connection necessarily, you know, like why their teeth, like they just can't stop clenching their jaw. So it's so important to realize how stress affects you, because once you understand, then you can make a conscious change to how your body's dealing with it. So one of the things I do, I know that looks pretty gross, but you know, I do my greens every day. Right now with the whole coronavirus thing, I'm putting vitamin C in my greens drink and zinc. I have an aqueous zinc that I'm using. So that's just part of my daily routine to keep my immune system strong. Get some exercise daily. Some people feel like they can't get out, so there's a lot of stuff that's being offered online. It's essential if you have a chronic stress that you take a good multivitamin, because our body, even if you ate a perfect diet filled with lots of variety of fruits and vegetables, your body needs more vitamins when it's under stress. So again, I get my vitamin in my green strength. If you don't like a green strength, look for a good multi. Schedule your day, including you time, and now in particular, please don't watch the news or just turn it on for like an hour every day, because there's so much uncertainty and so much unknown going on right now that watching the news is not going to change anything. And I think if anything, it's making people feel like they have less control. So my suggestion is check in, see what's going on. I remember at 9/11, I just stood staring at the TV for 3 days. I was a mess, and it didn't change anything. So, again, do things for yourself to take care of yourself. Do stress reduction, walk, eat healthy, hang out with your friends online, give them a call. So again, extra vitamin B, we need a variety of fruits and vegetables because some have antioxidants in them, some are higher in B vitamins. Citrus fruits are very high in C, which is really important right now. And we also want to do adrenal support supplements if you have adrenal fatigue. Chromium, if you know you have blood sugar issues, these are the foods that are excellent for balancing chromium. That's going to help your body process sugar better. So chromium's a really great thing. This is one of my favorite things to do when I'm feeling stressed. It's called supported child's pose. So unlike regular child's pose where you don't have the blankets underneath you, the supported child's pose, you put those blankets under you and just lay in that position for about 15 minutes doing some deep breathing. If you can't get down to the floor, or for people that are still working, grab another chair and you could do it seated as well. This is great thing for adrenal fatigue, which we've been talking about on and on. Again, supporting your adrenals is essential. This is called legs up the wall. You have a blanket under your butt. You lie in that position for about 15 minutes. And there are other supplements you can take as well. So we're going to do our first exercise. It's deep belly breathing. If you're able to lie on your back and still hear me, that would be best, because it's hard to do this exercise while you're sitting. But leave your microphone on just in case you've got any questions. So are you both going to lie on your back, or are you going to do it seated?
On my back.
Okay.
I've got a dog on my lap, so I can't really move.
All right. So what you can do is close your eyes, and for anybody who's sitting, just make sure your legs aren't crossed and both feet are firmly on the ground, not hard, but just so you're not up on your toes. And what you're going to do is you're going to put your hands on your belly, and as you breathe in, you want your hands to lift away from your body, whether you're lying on your back, you feel go towards the ceiling, or if you're seated, just away from your spine. So as you breathe in, the belly should push out, and then you're going to hold it. And then as you breathe, as you exhale, you're going to push your belly button towards your spine. So you want to do that firmly towards your spine. You're going to hold it again, and then you're going to do it again. So this time, as you inhale, do it on the count of 4. So take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you exhale, we want the exhale to be longer, 6 to 8 seconds. So as you breathe out, again, you're pushing your belly button towards your spine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And hold it for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. So do either one of you find it easy or difficult? Do you need help with how to do this?
Maybe we could just practice 2 more times.
Yep. So again, you're going to, so one of the things I found, so you just do it on your own with what with the way I said to do it. But one thing that can help is putting a book on your belly. I know when I first learned this technique, it was really hard for me to really connect with my belly. I was a chest breather. So what I found was that you increase the proprioception when you put a book on your belly, and that makes it easier to do it. Miriam, were you able to do this?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, good. I know it's a little hard when you got a dog on your lap. Um, so
Yeah. She's sleeping, so I got no chance of moving her. She doesn't have any stress.
yeah, yeah. Lucky dogs. As long as we feed them, they're okay. So Xiaoming, when you get done, let me know and let me know how that went for you.
Yeah, what is hard is actually just the holding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. But it's important because if you follow this, if you do it 4 or 5 times in a row, you should feel more relaxed. So one thing that happens when you do this deep belly breathing is it's stretching the diaphragm. And the diaphragm, the vagus nerve, which is a very integral part of the nervous system, is what causes what's called the relaxation response. So that's why when we inhale, and we're pushing our belly towards the ceiling, what we're really doing is we're stretching that diaphragm. And it's the stretching of the diaphragm that is going to release those feel good serotonin, endorphins. And that's the thing that helps us feel better. So you just keep practicing it. If you get frustrated, then stop and then come back to it again. It's really important that you not allow yourself to get frustrated, because then you're going to be stressed and it's going to be harder to do that. So the other thing is another technique I learned, I call this the reset breathing, is if you're having trouble connecting with the belly, is you start at the chest. So you put your hand on your chest, you do a breath in at your chest, and you breathe out from your chest. Then you go to your solar plexus, which is right below the rib cage. You breathe in and out there. And then you go to your belly and you breathe in and out there. And then you repeat it, but you come back from the belly. So then the next breath would be at the belly. The next breath would be at the solar plexus. And then the last breath would be at the chest. Personally, I found that one really hard. I learned that technique probably about 12, 15 years ago. And that was extremely difficult. It took me probably a week of practicing it every day to be able to, for me, I had trouble doing the solar plexus. The chest and the belly wasn't that bad, but the solar plexus was really tough. So, do that, and then you might be able to find that the deep belly breathing is easier. So the deep belly breathing is the one that's going to get you out of fight or flight. And when you get good at it, you should be able to do it sitting, standing, if we ever ride the bus again, or the train, wherever you are, you should be able to use it. But it takes practice, and you got to do it every day. Any questions before I move on?
No.
Okay. So this one you can do sitting. And right now, I'm going to ask you to sit with your eyes closed and see if there's any area that feels tight. Your jaw, your face. Do the muscles in your head feel tight, as weird as that might sound? Your shoulders, your arms, your back. Some people with a lot of stress in their life, they actually have pain in their legs. It's almost like they're clutching onto something. So do you guys notice any kind of tightness in your, neck or back or any place?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So what you're going to do is you're going to close your eyes. You're going to put your hands on your thighs face down. Again, your feet should be touching the floor. And you're going to do that breath that we were doing before. I don't want you to worry about counting. I just want you to do this slow breathing. And then let's say, for instance, you have jaw pain. As you breathe in and out, just let your mouth open a little bit. So you're intentionally going to relax your jaw as you do this. So for me, when I'm stressed out and I'm trying to sleep at night, I notice that I clench my jaw. And if I just make myself relax my jaw, I find that my stress goes down. It's just something I've become very aware of over the years. I actually learned about this from when I used to do a lot of yoga. My yoga teacher used to walk us through these relaxations. So let's say you get headaches and you find that your headaches are above your eyebrow. You're probably crinkling your forehead. So relax your forehead, relax your shoulders, like feel where you're feeling stress. Like if you're somebody who tends to raise your shoulders, let your shoulders drop, because that's part of the fight or flight response. When we're going into battle, our shoulders come up, we tighten our fists, we clench our jaw. So just by making that awareness to relax all those areas can then allow us to get out of fight or flight, and usually closing our eyes helps. I have found with some people that they get more stressed when their eyes are closed. So for you, if you notice that you're less stressed with your eyes open, then do these exercises with your eyes open. So were either of you able to do a couple breaths and notice a difference in how your body felt?
Yes, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, it's relaxing.
Great. This is one of my favorite things. Again, for me, I tend to notice my stress the most when I lay in bed. So if I can get, just relax those areas, then I can calm my mind easier. So for the two of you, since you're local, I have these stress cards in my office. So make sure you ask me for one next time you come in. Do you guys remember the mood rings back in the day that people would wear that everybody thought they were like crazy?
Mm-hmm.
So the mood rings actually measure your temperature. So if you're very stressed out, you're not going to be getting a lot of blood, as much blood to your hands as you should. And the mood ring or the stress card will be black. The less stressed you are, it'll go from red to green to blue is very calm. And what I love about this is you could take this card and you can do this deep breathing exercise and you can measure if your body's changing on a physiological level. So I used to offer biofeedback in my office. People would come in, they would work with the computer to teach their body how to get out of stress. But these cards work really well, and they're a lot less expensive than going and doing biofeedback. So make sure you grab one next time you come in. And for anyone who is not local to me who's listening, just look for these online. You can find these cards. You can look for a hand thermometer, so you could check to make sure that you're in the normal range. It's amazing how many people, when they check their hand temperature, is a degree below what it should be, and that they're under stress. So it's really great. This works well. Other stress reducers: lavender, Epsom salt baths, connecting with nature. One of the things I love to do, and Xiaoming, you and I did this years ago when I first started at the same school, was go out in nature and feel the energy coming up from the ground into your body, or go and stand next to the tree and see if you can feel the energy moving through the trees. I know there are people that are listening that are going to think this is totally whacked out, but I'm suggesting go and try it. If you put your intention to feeling the energy coming up from the earth, or feeling the energy coming from plants and trees, you can do it. It's just our brain is usually so focused on other things that we're less aware of what's going on in our environment. Years ago, I read this book. I can't remember the name of it. If I can find it, it's something about connecting to the earth. I read this book. It was given to me when I lived in Asheville many years ago. The author's sister lived in town. She just gave me the book, and that's where I learned about doing some of these exercises with, feeling the energy. So this is important to remember. Circumstances don't determine our level of stress. It's how we react to what's going on. And these are things that we can control. So one of the things I do in my office is BrainTap, creative visualization, relaxation. What it does is it entrains our brain waves to precise frequencies of light and sound into the brain. And what it does is it synchronizes with this creating a relaxed state. So we quickly go from being in fight or flight within minutes to being calm and relaxed. And Marianne, I think you can talk about that because you've done this in my office. Can you talk about your personal experience with this?
When I first started doing it, I fell asleep every time. um, but yeah, yeah, definitely very calming. Like I said, at the beginning, it was always putting me to sleep.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But when you do it now, you don't fall asleep, but how do you feel right afterwards?
Oh, definitely still relaxed. Yeah.
Good.
But
Good.
I guess it's maybe not as severe.
Right.
Not as severely stressed, so it doesn't put me to sleep.
But also, I think part of it is that your brain waves are probably more balanced now. So it's not uncommon when I have someone come to see me that's had a lot of stress in their life for a long time, they will pass out. Sometimes, even though the tracks are only 20 minutes, they'll pass out for 40 minutes or 60 minutes because they have not had a good night's sleep in years. And then what happens is, as a result of doing this, they start sleeping better. And then when they come in and do it in my office, they can be more relaxed, and they're more relaxed in general, and their brain waves are more balanced. So every time you do a session, you have an 11% increase in norepinephrine, 21% increase in serotonin, 25% increase in beta endorphins. And this was a study that was done back in 1990. So remember I showed you my EEG that was done in February of 2012. So look at the one on the right. That is after doing BrainTap. So that was after I had done it for a year, but it's only because I forgot to redo my EEG, within 6 weeks is when I started noticing major difference of being able to sleep better, getting rid of anxiety and depression within 6 weeks. But I didn't think of redoing my EEG until a year later. So what happened was during that year, I wasn't doing it necessarily every week. Sometimes it was once a month, sometimes it was once a week, because I was feeling great. So I didn't do it all the time. So this just gives you some, objective information of the changes that were made. So all these things I've seen happen both in myself as well as patients. I've worked with people with addictions. They've had great results. I've worked with people with some serious focus and memory problems, major changes to immune system because they're sleeping better. So there's an app now, which wasn't around 8 years ago, which is wonderful because you can do it at home every day. You don't need to purchase the headset if you don't want to. If you do, they're offering some great deals right now. But if you don't, you can definitely do this, for 45 days for $1. And then if you want to continue after that, it's anywhere from $10 to $30 a month. And there's all these bundles you can see on the picture. So if you want to do just worry-free me bundle, it's $10 a month after that 45 days. And what it does is it's a combination of a guided visualization. It's the headset does the lights to increase theta. You get binaural beats and isochronic tones that raise your alpha brain waves. And what it's doing is it's retraining your brain. There are apps out there that do just alpha. But the problem with that is then you get stuck in alpha and you're not getting any work done. I've actually done EEGs on people that, I've been doing this app for a long time and I'm just doing the alpha. And their alpha is so high that they can't ever, they're kind of like in the clouds all the time and they're having trouble focusing. And that's not good. So we want somebody to have these balanced brainwaves. So that's what I like about the BrainTap app is each session puts you through all these different brainwaves you should be going through. So it's retraining the brain to be in what's called ideal. And if somebody's interested in purchasing a headset, I can get you the special that they're offering right now. It's $200 down and $50 a month. So that is something that's available. But I think if you do some of the things that we've talked about, that's going to help you, 60 to 80%. If you add in the app, it might even take you to 100% change. Um, Again, I love this because it's changing unwanted habits and behaviors. It's creating positive ingrained habits. When Dr. Porter first started creating the BrainTap, he was focused on helping people with smoking problems. So he had developed a smoking cessation program, and then he helped people with weight loss. So he didn't even develop just these regular tracks for stress until later, and he was getting fantastic results. For anybody who's interested in finding out if this is something that can help them, that wants to work with me, I'm happy to offer a free 20-minute consultation. You can get access to my dispensary for professional grade supplements. Just email me if you're interested in either one of those two things. And on the left, you see this form, and this is a great way to check how you're doing over time. So if you were to come into my office, this is something we revisit periodically. This is something you'd fill in on your first visit, and then we're looking to see how many boxes you're still checking periodically. So you can have that, and you can do that on your own. And that is all for now. So I'm going to get back, and I'm going to stop recording right now.